Nintendo needed that last Direct to be amazing, but it simply wasn't. Whether you loved it, hated it, or thought it was just okay, that wasn't the Direct that Nintendo really needed right now. They needed a good one, and by most accounts, all we got was something that was pretty mediocre. So I want to talk about that and see what else we could see from this current generation of Nintendo. Before we get into all that, we should probably explain why this Direct was so important. To put it simply, people wanted and needed more information on various games and ports that we already know about. Think things like Metroid Prime 4, Age of Imprisonment, and Final Fantasy VII Remake, alongside other various third party ports and even first party games we don't yet know about. This is a new generation, after all. People want to know what's coming next, people want to be excited. And the question is, did Nintendo manage to achieve that? Well, kinda. It's just going to depend on if you were excited about what was announced and shown here and if you were disappointed about the lack thereof. That being said, there were some good, decent announcements here. Metroid Prime 4, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Age of Imprisonment finally got release dates. A new Fire Emblem game was also announced, alongside the ports of Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 to the Switch, which come with their own controversy, for better or for worse. In other first party news, Donkey Kong Bonanza has also received its first DLC, which honestly looks like it should have just been included in the base game, but that's just me. Pokemon's Legends CA has already announced DLC as well, despite the fact that that game's not even out yet. In third party news, Resident Evil 9 is launching day and date with the other consoles on Switch 2, and is bringing versions of Resident Evil 7 and 8 in tow with it. Along that, Dragon Quest 7 is getting a remake, which is the second remake actually. I think my biggest complaint, and one of the biggest complaints I've seen overall, is that there just wasn't anything big here. And I mean, sorry, Fire Emblem fans, hoorah for you, glad you're getting a new game, but that won't sell a console. We really needed to see, even if it was just a teaser, a logo with an image that said coming at some point or in development. But we needed another big first party franchise. But I also understand that this early in the generation, you can't go throwing everything you have out the door. But my lord, something, just a logo, would have been better than the nothing we've gotten. Ultimately, the direct felt me feeling rather disappointed. And I know I'm not the only one, but I want to go into some of this because while some of this is definitely preventable and Nintendo's fault, I definitely think some of the current problems we have are not entirely outside of their hand, even though without these said problems, I think we'd still be having problems with Nintendo. Let's cover the elephant in the room first: tariffs. If you're someone like myself who lives in the United States, then you have certainly felt the ongoing effects of the tariffs. And we can see this in Nintendo's pricing. If you compare the amiibo pricing and accessory pricing from the US to Canada and even the UK, you can see that their prices are lower, even when accounting for currency conversion. So part of it is just that. It's things that are outside of Nintendo's control, and while they can certainly eat some of it in the short term, Nintendo is a company that makes money on every console they sell. And for Nintendo's point of view, I imagine this is profit they don't want to eat, unlike other companies. And even at the time we're recording this, we just saw Xbox have to raise its prices too, making the used to be $300 Series S now a $400 console. All right, with that little bit of, I guess, disclaimer out of the way, let's move into the rest of it. You see, I think the main cause of all of this is Nintendo's sheer greed. And this isn't anything new to Nintendo. If you've been a fan of theirs long enough, you know they are not a consumer friendly company. Nintendo is not your friend. And it shows very well here. And I think coming off of the back of the Switch 1 generation, which literally took them from their lowest points from the Wii U to literally the most profitable they have ever been. I really think they're banking off that. They did so well with the Switch 1 that of course the Switch 2 is gonna be successful. Of course, we can make a little bit of money off the top because, again, Nintendo is not a company that is going to lose money on their consoles, unlike everyone else. The catch being that doing so, and maybe even with, tariff preventative prices, they've priced out a lot of people, as $450 is more than what we thought the Switch was going to launch for. It's a steep amount of money. That is almost PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X money. And ultimately, I think they're just kind of caught in a hard space here because Nintendo needs to make money. This is a corporation, but at the same time, they are actively pricing out their main customers. There are people who are like, hey, I can't afford this anymore. I can't afford your console. I can't afford the games that go with the consoles. Not when your games are $70 to $80 a piece. And I think they're stuck between a rock and a hard place here. I think that they probably want to sell as many of these as they can. They probably want to still make money, but I think Nintendo's wise enough to realize that we can't price out our customer base. I just don't think they have a choice in some of it. In others, it's very much just Nintendo charging what they feel like they can. And the fact that all this stuff is still selling just tells Nintendo they can keep doing this because until their consoles don't sell and until these games don't do well, they're not going to stop. And I think that's just how that's going to be. Until we put our foot down, Nintendo's going to keep taking and taking and taking. But that's just my thoughts and feelings on the matter. Let me know what yours are down below.